Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So Alec Baldwin, who hasn't done really any interviews this whole time since the shooting and death of Helena Hutchins, the cinematographer on the set of Rust, and the director was injured as well, Joel Souza. Since that day on the set of Rust that he shot the director and the cinematographer, he really hasn't made any public interviews except that one time where he was standing out on the street with his wife talking to TMZ because he didn't want them following him and his family anymore. So what's happened is ABC is doing a 90-minute exclusive interview with Alec Baldwin and George Stephanopoulos. Now, in this interview that is going to be aired, I think it's tomorrow US time, well, there's a few clips out and it's completely painting the picture that Alec Baldwin has done nothing wrong. He's the victim in this situation. And then the key thing is, he says he didn't even fire the gun. This story is getting muddier and muddier, and I think it's basically because Alec Baldwin is trying to deflect all the blame from himself, even though we've heard a bunch of other stories in my previous videos on this, that the allegations on the set of Rust, terrible working hours and conditions, and then you've had allegations from other workers on the set who said the conditions were so horrendous that they were in fear for their safety. And then you've also got Mamie Mitchell, a scriptwriter, who said just recently that Alec Baldwin, intentionally without just cause or excuse, cocked and fired the loaded gun. I think he's trying to get out there now and trying to deflect everything that's come at him because he is not looking good at all in this situation. He's the one that fired the weapon, and now he's saying he didn't fire the weapon. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the quotes and things that will be said on the interview because ABC's put out a teaser for the interview tomorrow. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So on People magazine it says, Alec Baldwin says he didn't pull the trigger in first sit-down interview since Rust shooting. So he'll sit down as his first interview since the Rust shooting on Thursday night with George Stephanopoulos. Well, this is the first mainstream media interview, not like the TMZ roadside chat they had. It's mainstream. You know the narrative they're going to be pushing. Let's take a look at what he says. He says he didn't pull the trigger on the gun that killed Helena Hutchins on the set of his movie Rust. His movie, because he was also a producer. So that puts him in extra danger when you're talking about who's liable and legally liable with these kind of situations on the set. Because he's not just an actor, he's also the producer. And then there's also the claim that he has no idea how someone put a live bullet in the gun. And a bullet wasn't even supposed to be on the property. People were trying to say it was the armorer, Hannah Reid, who was young, inexperienced, but her father was really well known in the industry, and saying that she was inexperienced, it must have been her. But then she was deflecting and saying, no, it was the prop master, who I've done another video on, that some details in there which kind of get sketchy. So there's trying to deflect blame all around on this set. But let's take a look at what Alec Baldwin has said.
She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with and liked by everyone who worked with and admired.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that he's an actor. Like, the way he's speaking, the way he reacted, I don't know. That's Selena.
I mean, even now, I find it hard to believe that. It just doesn't seem real to me.
You haven't said much in public since that tragic accident. Why speak out now? I think the big question, and the one you must have asked yourself 1,000 times, how could this have happened?
Listen to that. Like, the production is insane. Setting it up so emotionally. That's like, how could this have happened to this poor man on the set? He's the victim, making it out what it sounds like.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
How does it get fired then if you didn't pull the trigger? What just came out? Mamie Mitchell, the script supervisor, came out only a couple weeks ago and said, quote, here it is, Alec Baldwin intentionally, without just cause or excuse, cocked and fired the loaded gun, even though the upcoming scene to be filmed did not call for the cocking and firing of the firearm. So this comes out a couple weeks before, saying he intentionally, without just cause or excuse, cocked and fired the gun. And then he wants to say, in an interview exclusively, saying,
well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So he's really trying to deflect. He's really trying to deflect and say, take all the blame off him. And then he'll go on and say about how he was handed the loaded weapon. It wasn't supposed to be loaded. But as a producer, I believe he should have taken extra steps and extra measures to look at the gun when it was given to him. It's a revolver. Open up, have a look at the chamber, spin it around. Is there any bullets in there? Okay, he didn't. He's negligent. There is responsibility on him in this situation because he is not just the actor, but also the producer in this film.
So you never pulled the trigger?
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them, never.
How did a real bullet get on that set?
I have no idea. Someone put a live bullet in a gun, a bullet that wasn't even supposed to be on the property.
There it is. Someone else did it. Someone put it in there, not me. I didn't do it. And then we also know that Dave Halls, the assistant director, called cold gun when he gave Alec Baldwin the gun on the set. So that's supposed to mean the gun had no live ammunition in it. So he thought it was empty, still fired it. Well, he says he didn't fire it, which is going to be interesting now if this all goes to trial. All the evidence that, oh man, they could use all this as evidence. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens going forward.
How do you respond to actors like George Clooney who say that every time they were handed a gun, they checked it themselves?
Exactly. Perfect question. Perfect question. And then I want to see the answer to that. What do you say? Why didn't you check the gun yourself? Why didn't you check it yourself?
You said you're not a victim, but is this the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Because I think back and I think of what could I have done?
What could you have done? I don't know, listen to how many of the actors that were on set saying there's an unsafe set, unsafe working conditions. We need to travel way too far. This is too tiring for us. Our work hours and our travel is dangerous, the amount of travel we've got to do. Other actors saying they were feeling unsafe on set. Then how about make sure you get an actual capable crew and not have one person doing two different jobs on the set and not cut corners as people have on the set been saying that corners were cut to try and cut costs in this movie. How about you check the gun yourself? There's so many things you could have done, but now it's all, oh, woe is me. I didn't do anything. I didn't fire the weapon. I didn't pull the trigger. I didn't fire it. What are you talking about? How did it fire then? And there's other evidence that came out. It said he was doing a quick draw scene potentially. So maybe as he pulled the gun from his holster and flipped it sideways, it could have just been his finger on the pin that flicked it. All this is showing me is this is just PR piece for Alec Baldwin, trying to get his face and name out there saying it wasn't me. All the stuff that's coming out about everything I did, all these other allegations that are saying intentionally cocked and fired the gun, and other people saying other things on the set of how in fear they were. This is just trying to deflect blame from Alec Baldwin. We will see what happens in this interview and anything going forward with the further evidence from this set and anyone else's allegations. And if you want to check out the previous videos I've done in this Rust movie set incident, you can find the link in the description to my playlist. If you want to check out my other links in the description, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and I've just made an Odyssey account. You can go follow me over there. Check those out in the description below. And if you like this one, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this one out, and I'll see you in the next one.